Welcome to Wells and Associates Transportation Topics. My name is Nick Kosar, and I am joined by three of my colleagues here today, Ashley Moses, Linsey Burch, and Justin Schor, all of whom are members of our TDM Transportation Demand Management team. And we are going to talk today about telework. Surprise, surprise. I think maybe a few months ago that would have been some kind of niche thing, but now everybody's doing it, from like Tasmania to Thailand to give me an American city, Tucson
to Anchorage,
Tombstone, Arizona. How about that? Yeah. So anyway, that's what we're talking about. Aside from the fact that most of us, aside frontline workers, are teleworking, the reason we're doing this is because our colleague Ashley just completed her telework certificate through the Center for Urban Transportation Research, and I think it is their best workplaces for commuters program, right, Ashley? So what can you tell us about that?
Sure.
How was the experience?
Sure. So the certificate consisted of 5 roughly 1-hour courses that really aim to educate on everything telework, from educating employees on how to negotiate at a distance, to managing and working on a distributed and flexible team, to developing proper internal and external communication and collaboration skills. The certificate was very impactful and definitely something that I believe will be of great value as we go on to put the certificate into action, and really assist our multifamily buildings and the employers that we work with to really develop some great, robust telework-friendly spaces and workplaces.
Well, so I guess on the surface of it, I kind of think, well, everybody's doing work from home right now, right? Quote unquote, everybody. But so it's sort of like, well, you just do it, is my simplistic way of thinking about it. But what insights, so you talked about a few of them there, what insights do you think that maybe a lot of businesses may have a misconception about what telework is, or things that they might not know about that you've been learning in your certificate program?
Yeah, sure. So I would say one major thing that I did learn is right now we're all working on these very distributed teams. I actually didn't know what the word distributed teams meant until I took the course, but really what a distributed team is you have all of us are very spread out right now. Some are in the office, some are from home, and we're really just learning how to work together. So I would say perfecting your distributed team setup right now would be key, and definitely something to focus on during this time, coronavirus time.
It's been, Justin, I think you were pretty deeply involved a few years ago when we at Wells formalized our own program. But what do any of you have to say about companies or organizations who might want to think about formalizing as opposed to just reacting to, say, COVID-19 or something?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think probably even during COVID-19, you see people who struggle working at a distance. It's hard for them to focus, either because the conditions they're working in, the household they're working in is distracting, and or they don't have the right setup to be working at home. And it's also, has to do a lot with the right personalities. So when we did what you were describing, Nick, and established a more formal policy at Wells and Associates a few years ago, we had training for employees and for managers so that they could understand how to communicate remotely, like Ashley was saying. But we also looked at whether or not the managers thought the position was appropriate to be working remotely, and what type of equipment they might need to do that successfully, as well as understand a little more about whether or not that person as an individual performer is the right person to be working from home, either, again, because of their personality, their work performance in the past, or otherwise. So if you're not really a strong employee and weren't the best performer at the office, you're likely not to be a strong performer away from the office as well. So we spent a lot of time understanding all of those facets of our employees before we launched a pilot to really test out how that would work. And Yeah.
I'm sorry. I would think that there's all these signals we give each other when we're actually working physically together, and then all of a sudden it's, no, I promise you, I'm working, right? So there must be sort of that digital divide that's going on.
I think so. I mean, I think for people who used to manage by looking over your shoulder, being remote was a tough transition for us. And fortunately, we were able to transition to this, permanent, semi-permanent, whatever you want to call it, remote work scenario during our pilot and during the 2 years that followed, and really give managers and supervisors the chance to understand how to manage by objectives rather than looking over your shoulder, and how to take the time up front to define what your deliverables are and what the timelines are you want them delivered in. And then you can step back. If your employees want to work at 2 a.m, good for them. It doesn't really matter as long as the job gets done. And I think we were able to really get comfortable with that, so that our transition to this current state was very smooth. Honestly, I think it was, from my perspective, the only major difference was, bringing my large screen monitor home versus working off my laptop. So, one trip to the office was all it took to really transition. Otherwise, we had all the software and equipment we needed.
Right. So Linsey, you are in the certificate program now, and I think our colleague Lydia Shackelford is as well. Have all of you thought about ways that you might be bringing some of the value you learned there to some of your existing clients, properties you work with, whether they're offices, or I think Ashley, you had mentioned like multifamily housing, residential, and all that sort of thing?
Definitely. I see us using this certificate for all of our programs that we manage. In regards to residential, we can definitely be an outlet for some of the residents that maybe having a difficult time with working remotely. We can connect with them on the best ways to set up their office at home, things to purchase, things to keep in mind to stay organized from working from home. And that also goes for some of the properties that we manage that are mixed use developments, office properties, just connecting with their HR rep, understanding their protocols for working remotely and what we've learned, and kind of teaming up and just being another valid resource to assist their employees with getting through this time.
That's great. Anything else any of you want to say about it?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic opportunity, Nick. Maybe the best way to describe this is, if you've ever tried to play golf, you can swing a club at a ball and you can hit the ball, and it doesn't mean the ball is going to go straight. And even if it does, it doesn't mean it's happening consistently because your form isn't good. And I think when it comes to telework, we're all doing it, some better than others, but those that really are trained and understand and have the right policies in place are the equivalent of the folks that, practice their swing and get their form right.
Right. LPGA Tour or PGA Tour. There we go. So, all right. All right. If that's it, we're going to wrap this one up, and we will see you all next time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.